We're going to dive into everything Australian sports.
This time for the big A's to win the game for Australia from nowhere.
Articulate why we want to have a bet.
Yeah, we love golf.
A little Papa.
And a look at across every other sport, particularly our fancy.
Where's Pappenhausen now?
Welcome to the Early Crow.
Rule number 1, never force a bet.
Welcome to episode, what are we, 8, 7, the Early Crow. Paps out, Italy bound. We need to get to that sort of later on, PharJack. I don't know if he's waxing or shaving that chest, but it's it was mind-boggling to see that stubble on his rig there last night. But PharJack steps in, he backs up. Yeah, he's a bit pink too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very shiny at the moment, old Paps.
PharJack steps up and we're going to recap his fight, see where he's at, but also deep dive heavily into racing on this episode. We're going to look at sort of the narrative around what's going on at the moment in the sport, a little bit of an eye to the future, and then just try and find a couple of angles to find you a winner or two this weekend in the ponies. If there's a bit of background noise my end, I do apologise, but I have my 2 children with me this morning. PharJack, how are you?
Mate, I am good. I flew home straight after I left the hospital on Sunday last week or the week before. And then I'd planned a trip. Me and my missus haven't been on a holiday in the 7 years we've been together because I've been always training and trying to get into the UFC. So we booked this one, and even with the dislocated elbow, there was no chance we were going to cancel it. So we're in our last day today, but had a good rest and relaxation, and I'm itching to get back into whatever training I'm allowed to do.
Well, what was it like emotionally? It looked like a roller coaster. From my point of view, as a outsider, I fully comprehended and understood now how people get addicted to the sport.
Yeah,
I wasn't a UFC person, but now, like through you, I've got I'm a fan and I'm invested in you. I would compare the anxiety levels of watching your fight in my office shed by myself to like a prelim final for the Swans. You're just hoping, it's like, and the way you fought, you were in front, but it's kind of like the Swans because I don't know the sport. You're like, just hold on.
Yeah.
I can understand how the sport becomes addictive to the person at home because you just fall in love with the athlete. But from your point of view, you're on top. It went sideways pretty quick.
Yeah, bloody oath. It's we always talk about it, and there's all these cliches that get thrown around, like it's a game of inches and you only need to make one mistake, and they're all so true because I was comfortably beating my opponent in the striking department, and then we clinched up, and I actually felt pretty comfortable in the clinch as well. And then that throw that he hit me with, I've trained with a lot of really good judo guys, and that throw that he hit me with, I would have defended it or at least gone with the throw probably 500 times over my training career. And then just the one time where I make that mistake and defend it poorly, it cost me the fight and, cost me the injury where I've dislocated my arm. Huge roller coaster of emotions. When I went out the back, obviously, I'm on the green whistle and stuff straight away. So that's all a bit of a blur. I was just zoinked off my head. But by the time I got to the hospital, just devastated, had sort of broke down a little bit, had a bit of a cry, but mostly it's mostly just the fact that you work so hard. It was my 4th fight in 11 months, and I'd sacrificed so much to get into the UFC, and then this was kind of the fairy tale ending to the year for me to go 3-0, and it just it didn't work out like that. So I was devastated more than anything. But once you sort of see the light of day, I watched the fight back and talk to my coaches and stuff. Oh, it's fine. Losing's part of life. And I just sort of took it on the chin, and I'm really excited to get back in the gym and, work on some things that I think I can do better and show up and be better next time.
2 questions for me now as a UFC fan, or more a Jack Jenkins fan. But does it hurt your foot? Because when he was trying to get you against the wall, I was watching his left, calf, outer leg, and it looked like it might burst.
Yeah, it was
But
bad,
I was wondering, does that hurt your foot a bit?
Yeah, a little bit, but not as much as it hurts him.
Yeah.
Which is the key.
And how many hours, I talk about 10,000 hours to become an expert. When this monster has you pinned against the wall, you look like you were like just a professional dad just wrangling kids. Like you weren't like nervous at all. Like you didn't purvey any kind of panic.
Yeah.
When I think 999 people out of 1,000 are going, holy shit. It's just like it's just all part of the plan.
Yeah, 100%. Like we expected him to try and clinch up and everything. It was just like I said, I made that one mistake and it cost me. And fuck, I've probably been on the other end of it as well, where I've made one really good thing. Like I've been in fights that have been, good fights, close fights, and then I've done something that's just completely turned the tide, like a good kick or a good punch or something. And this one just went against me. And you can sit around and whinge about it, or you can fucking go, well done, good job, Chet. I'll see you down the line and get back to it.
So he goes on the list. We'll get him when we can.
There. Well, I've beat the other guy who beat me on the local scene, a guy named Jesse Medina. He submitted me when I was 22, and then I rematched him for the Australian title 6 years later, and I broke his leg, and he spent the night in hospital. And so it's not a good list to be on my revenge list.
Beautiful. All right, so we fly back to Australia and we look at the rehab and we get back on the track, and we're aiming for maybe the first half of next year if we can.
Yeah, hopefully February or March. And there's a lot I can do. I broke my foot about 6 weeks before this fight, so I couldn't do any road work. And I usually run like 40 or 50K a week in the lead up to a fight. So that didn't play into the result at all. I'm not saying that, but I'm really excited to get running again now that my foot's healed. So even though I might not be able to do some stuff with my elbow, I can really get fit again and get the body primed and ready for when it's time to come back.
Time for the big A. What a promote thunderstruck Elmonagon. Din came Zaki. Now the greatest of them all, the Melbourne Cup. What a ride, what a win in a cup we'll never forget.
Let's focus on horses now. We'll talk ponies. I was on ponies. Enormous debut. When you came on first up, I did a fair bit of research on the UFC and was just completely blown away by your knowledge on the great game that is horse racing. How have you found the last couple of weekends, last couple of weeks, and now you've got a fair bit of time to sort of hook it right into the vein?
Mate, absolutely pumped up. Last week I sort of did my first. I've been having a go like week to week, just to stay in touch with it and watch some races that I'm interested in, particularly the 3-year-old races that this time of the year, leading up to the Guineas and stuff. But I this week I went and watched some trials. I really hooked in like I usually do.
Where?
No, just online. I watched the trials online.
Okay.
And I had a 5-unit weekend and just like had a stab at it, and then I was 0 from 4 picks leading into my last pick, and then Star Patrol got up for me in one of the last races and put me in the profit for the day. So
that was a clincher. That was a butt cheek clincher too, wasn't it? Like hold on, because that thing was flying at you.
Yeah, it was the get out
King
of jail.
of Sparta.
Yeah, it was the absolute get out of jail stakes for me there, and it did. So keen to roll it into this weekend and keep the ball going. How
excited were you for it was actually fight weekend, and you declared Imperatrice, and you were absolutely spot on. It handled the valley like it handled it the previous start. Even though it was over 1,200 meters and it was 1,000 meters in that race we spoke about.
Yeah,
must have been a good feeling because you were winning. That'd be the most enjoyable way to collect on a bet.
Oh, 100%. I think when you there's certain times where you can call something that just plays out really well. I've done it once before in where I said to my old man, I said, if Alligator Blood leads and wins from the front in the Champions Mile, the next race on the card is the Champion Stakes. We'll back Zaki because he'll roll from the front and lead. And it happened just as I said it would, and that's just the best feeling in the world. And then when I came on your show, I've declared Imperatrice because of the way that the track was going to play. And watching that come home was satisfying. And then seeing you boys put up the clip afterwards, that's the best part, when you keep the receipts. Here you go, boys.
Yeah, it's sort of been like Paps, who's under like enormous pressure like every weekend. I reckon he feels the pressure more for the publicness of his tipping than the betting or his football.
For sure.
Like it's just like this extra pressure, and he talks to me about it, and we're getting on top of it now. But it adds to the win, but it it certainly like hurts more when you lose.
Yeah, I reckon too. Paps probably has a little bit of it as well. But I reckon with the great game, there's a fair bit of gatekeeping that goes on with the horse racing, where it's like if you people are like, oh, who are you to tip this or who are you to tip that? You're a nobody, this sort of thing, and it's like no one has a monopoly on being able to love the races and follow along and have your systems you want to do. So there's a bit of like, oh, he's a footy player. Why is a footy player tipping me? Like he doesn't know shit. Or why is this UFC fighter tipping? So just to get on top of that and go, no. I love the game as much as you do. I can get involved.
Little do most people know that the industry is predominantly full of non-betting climbers anyway, and people like Paps would be investing more than anyone is. I think the game's so much better for the freedom of like content, like we do, and a lot of other people do. The difference of view and a achievable avenue for people like you, but anyone to start their journey in racing. I mean, like 10, 20 years ago, without social media, if you didn't go and get like a internship at the Herald Sun or Sydney Morning Herald, what chance were you to get a job in the sport unless you're a proper punter?
100%.
With the Imperatrice race, the fallout's been enormous. Our man G Halls, like he loves clickbait, but I think he's even gone further than that now. Willow's been sacked.
Yeah.
I was hard against it. I think Clayton's limited as a trainer, and I think he's a jumps jockey, and his brother or Rocket Douglas is a jumps jockey, and they should like respect Craig's opinion because he's a Group 1 jockey. I think they made a really bad call, and they've cost themselves badly because this is a horse with they're animals and they're athletes, like you. Like not me, but and he has a much better understanding of the animal than J-Mac will. Where do you sit on the gig kick thing thus far?
Look, I've flipped and changed side to side on it. My first reaction when I saw him that they'd sacked Willow was just like absolutely gobsmacked. Like, how can you sack a bloke that's taken this horse from benchmark races to an Everest as quickly as they did, and then he's riding in elite form, and yeah, he's probably clipped him up a little bit too early, but it's 1,000 meters at the Valley. What's he going to do? So I was kind of, I couldn't believe it when they put J-Mac on too, and it seems like a slimy move. But after talking to Gareth, called me and he explained some stuff and his point of view, I've kind of softened on it a little bit, and it is their prerogative. It's absolutely their choice. If they want to get J-Mac on, they can get J-Mac on. I just don't know if that's the right choice right now. The one thing that did sway me a little bit was I know how much Clayton loves that horse. Like, he loves that horse. So I don't think he would do what's wrong by it. It's just, without speaking to him and hearing his point of view, I don't know. I just think that to get Craig off after everything he's done wasn't the right choice by me.
I think that they all love their horses, and I just think now that like the secondary part of this narrative now is that it might be going to miss a run or it might be overcooked because of what Craig did to it. It didn't go fast. They went very slow for the class. That's a fact. If the horse was overdone before that or was underdone, that's not on Craig. And the secondary like sort of insinuation from the commentary is it was like half dead at Moonee Valley, and how dare Craig try and win a horse race that we all bet on.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. I just don't get. The other thing was like there's all this chat about all these grand finals that he's got. We've got to get him to the Everest, and then we've got to get him into this, and we've got to get him into that. And with the Golden Eagle being the last target there, and you go, well, if you're running such a tightrope and you're starting him in this 1,000 meters at Moonee Valley where you know what the track's going to play like, that's on you. That's on your planning. That's not on Willow to treat the horse like it's unfit. He's got to go out there and try and win rides. But anyway, I've spoken about this Willow debacle in length this week, so I'm keen to focus on the real horse in that race that I was about from the start, which is Imperatrice. And
how does it get beat?
If they could give me a market right now, a same race multi-market for the Moya to go Imperatrice 1, Ballinipatina 2, and then the same bet for the Manikato, Imperatrice 1, Ballinipatina 2, I would bet on that. I just
Well,
can't.
you could nudge Dabble, surely.
Yeah,
Find a
I'll
way.
nudge him and I'll see if I can get that market. Maybe we do a PharJack's special. Imperatrice, Balanipatina, Imperatrice, Balanipatina, 2 Quinellas back to back. See what they'd give us for that.
Because to clean that up, PharJack's 5-unit players or however he's going to stake on Saturday, they'll find that on your socials and link that to Dabble, yeah?
Yeah, 100%. You can follow me on Instagram at PharJack. I'll put up a brief summary on Saturday morning, but you can also follow me on Dabble, and all of my plays are there, and you can just copy there if you can't be bothered finding the races for yourself.
Let's look at another big fat sprint race, the Everest. We learned a little bit last weekend. We'll probably learn a little bit more this Saturday, but it shapes to be, I think, half even, but absolute advantage Imperatrice. If and full credit to David Ellis behind the scenes, he's just milking those titties there, trying to get the absolute max deal for his horse.
Do you think he goes there?
100%.
They'll take it.
Everyone in racing is governed by one thing, PharJack.
Money.
Self-interest, right?
Yeah.
And cash. Everyone's motivated by cash, and it's already got the CV. Sorry guys. It's already got the CV to be a very valuable horse.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of sense to go there, and they're just going to try and maximise the deal because they negotiate these slots so you can get a 50-50 split. I bet you they're going to get like an 80-20 split.
Yeah, right. Whose slot are they going to take?
Tab.
They'll take the Tab slot.
The Green Cafe, yeah. So they've got unlimited. They need the Spruik horse. They need the narrative horse. It's absolutely unbelievable behaviour by David Ellis. David Ellis, the man behind that joint. Is it Tiarco?
Yep.
They've moved to Cranbourne. They've got a base at Cranbourne in Melbourne, so they'll get stronger. If you do your research, and I know you're a passionate bloodstock man, he's the best at buying yearlings by way.
Yeah, right.
So what he spends versus what he gets, like stakes winners and group winners, he's a freak. He's one of the greatest that there is in the sport, and he's got them all. He's got them all covered, my man. So
that's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. Well, I know you're passionate about bloodstock, and that like part of I'm into it. I have a business in it, and I thoroughly research like who's done what to try and find edges in what they do that I can try and learn for myself over the journey, to get better and better. But he is the best in my opinion. I thought with the Everest it's sort of thinned out a little bit. The Sydney horses are sort of turn takers. In Secret hasn't delivered yet. It's going to go good, I think, but it hasn't delivered yet. I think the other ones up there are vulnerable. I think it's Giga Kicks and Imperatrice Everest.
Yeah, right. You don't think I Wish I Win?
Yeah, I forgot it. I think the Victorian horses own that race.
Yeah.
I think the different form line, like the Victorian form looks stronger this year.
Yeah. Here's the thing with the Everest. I said from the start, I think it was I Wish I Win. I thought it was going to be I Wish I Win this year over Giga Kick. And I haven't moved from that purely because Mood said it from the start. He goes, we're going to take a really different prep. We're going to have this lead-up race here, and then we're going to have a big break, and we're going to run him fresh in the Everest. And who knows sprinters and what they need better than Moods? And he said it perfectly for the Golden Eagle, and I think he's going to set it well for the Everest again and get the work into him and get the feed into him that he needs to be strong over the line. But in saying that, if I was gonna look elsewhere, depending on how the market plays when we see Imperatrice in the market and that sort of thing, I'm like how Buenos Noches has been running. Hasn't sort of. I think the penny's kind of dropped with him a little bit, and I think if we see him get a little bit of clean air a little bit earlier, he might be able to run over the top of him. But it all depends on tempo on the day, so we'll have to wait and see what the market plays.
And that ties into like what you said. You love 3-year-olds, and I love them too. Why do we love them? Because we know what we've got, but we don't know where we're going to, and they've got that ceiling that you're not sure where it is. And there's a bunch of horses that run around on the weekend in the Golden Rose that fit that bill too. Where there's 100%. These horses that we know they're good, but how good are they? Even a horse like, we're just spitballing here, but Espiona runs around on Saturday at Rosehill.
Could have been anything. Couldn't find the right track.
Yeah, but last run was the fastest last 200-metre sectional she's run in her life.
Flew home, mate. Flew home.
So that could mean as a 4-year-old mare, she's now finally ready to take that next step,
Yeah.
Just unlimited upside with that horse. We're all over the shop this morning. I apologise. Got the kids here. I'm doing my best. Should we talk about what's the next thing on our list, my man?
We've got Everest, Moy, Manikato, the Toorak. Do you want to have a quick chat about the Toorak?
Yeah. Good race. Another jockey got sacked, but no one cares.
Yeah, who was that on Antino? Who was that?
Orman. I think it's Jimmy Orman.
Right. Jimmy Orman. Yeah. There's no media.
Jimmy's not going to Ukraine, to help the refugees and fight wars like Willow is. So he doesn't have as much credit with the public as Craig does, but he still is a jockey and a human being, and we sympathise with his situation. But Blake Shin's straight in there.
They're so. This is the other part. If we talk just briefly again about jockeys getting sacked, is we talk about. I don't want to talk about Willow like he's a victim. Like he's a cutthroat killer in that room, and to talk about him is a bit disingenuous. Like, oh, he's hard done by. It's like, mate, these guys will do anything to get the right rides, and if another horse pops up that's going to be a better ride for him, and he believes it, he'll jump on that, and it's a cutthroat world. So I don't want it to come across like we're feeling sorry for Willow.
I'm not feeling sorry for Willow. I'm feeling like it's just a dumb decision because he understands your horse and he's a very competent rider at the highest level. So it's just a dumb decision. But Jimmy's off and the crowbar, Jimmy Bar, Blake Shin has just got in there on Antino.
Let's go.
It's bang. It's right. It's a big player in the Toorak. Phar.
How do you see that race playing out? Amelia's Jewel, Antino.
I think Antino has an edge because it has tactical speed. So we'll see it at Caulfield on Saturday. The rail's out 6. I think there's a slight disadvantage, not a major disadvantage, but a slight disadvantage to be worse in midfield.
Yep.
And that can bring, say, Amelia's Jewel not undone, but it takes a length or two off her. And she may well be good enough to cover it, but that is Antino's edge, I think, versus it. What Amelia's Jewel did on Saturday and the way it did it was impressive, and they were good fillies that she beat who have run big fat numbers, and they ran good races. The horses that I tie like respect to a race through, so like Pride of Jenny's a good horse. It went well in that race. I got a good opinion of it ran second to it. I backed it at Caulfield and it was ridden with no intent. Anyway, I think what she did at Flemington was super impressive, and she did it in a way that you can't say she can't get a lot better.
100%. Super exciting. I love when a performance matches the narrative, right? And the narrative around this horse has been so big, and that performance was arrogant. And like you said, I still think a fair bit of improvement to come this prep. So super exciting.
You know, a horse is half special for, like, for me, Amelia's Jewel was put up at a rock bottom price. But you couldn't really entertain it. You could anchor it in multis, I guess. But you're still invested in watching it, like she's potentially that special. That's sort of what you're saying, yeah.
100%.
Righto, Phar. We head to Caulfield. The rail's out 6 metres. It's an enormous day's racing. We've got the Underwood Stakes as the feature. We've got the Guineas Prelude. We've got the Cadillac Jewelers MRC Foundation Cup 2,000 metre Group 3 worth 200k. But we're going to kick off in race 4, which is a 1,400 metre, a benchmark 84. For the mares. So a sex restricted race. My speed map here, mate, is essentially Nunthorpe, No Secret, and maybe Our Red Morning, who's a progressive little animal coming through a nice win at Sandown and has one at Caulfield. Nectarius thereabout. I think Taj, Need and Yellow Sam will just sort of roll forward somewhere forward to midfield and wide. The rest of them further back. Have you got a couple here or one here that you like?
I absolutely do. And it's not one of the two that you like, I don't think, to be honest. I really like Yellow Sam. So I've...
I love you. I hope we get to do content together forever. I think this is the greatest bet on the card.
Yeah, so Yellow Sam here, real smart filly. Like, she's smart, she's balanced when she comes around the turn. She just has been a little bit far away at times. But 1,400 is perfect for her. I actually think she might get better going out to the 1,600 and beyond. But the way she attacked the line when she ran behind Nunthorpe last start was so impressive. And I think if she can have and a little bit closer maybe this time, and I think the track might play a little bit better, I think she'll be winning there. So I'm going to have a good bet on Yellow Sam.
This is going to be a pretty short and sharp preview for the punters at home. I've had a big bet at Yellow Sam. I took $5. I think it's an absolute gift. It gets a 3 kilo, 2.5 kilo swing on Nunthorpe. Nunthorpe was completely blessed last start beating it. It was a great ride, and they're probably going to get a good ride here again. Wiramu Pin goes on to Yellow Sam too, which I think is a big tick. He's going to carry 52 kilos. It's a very nice animal, and I think it's going to be a really nice place to be on Saturday off fence. So I've got no problem at all being 3 and even 4 wide from any distance, but 400 and down is probably the optimal arrangement there. But the form around this horse too. First up, this prep Phar, it knocked off a horse at Donald called Always Appy. I backed Always Appy last Wednesday at Sandown. It was 9s into 5s and got the job done there. It runs around maybe in race 1 at Caulfield on Saturday too. So Vivienne forms red hot. It's going to be single figures probably in a good race later in the card. So love Yellow Sam as a bet. We are aligned. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's
very
good.
Exciting.
That's a good start. I'm really excited because it's probably the first time this season I'll be able to get back on track at Caulfield and go have a look. And
what's your race day look like? What's your race day when you go to the track look like?
Mate, I try and be a bit of a yard sniper. So this early in the spring, I don't really have a profile on any of the horses, so it's hard to see how they're looking this without having seen what they look like before. But most of the time, I'll look to try and get a favourite beaten early in the spring. Like if I see a favourite that's a bit rambunctious or carrying on in the yard, I like to sort of see if I can find something to go against it based off the form I've already done.
That's how I started. That's how I started my punting career. This whole life I've got was just doing mounting yard.
Yeah. No,
I had to pivot away from it when COVID hit, so I couldn't get on track. And that's how I've got into sort of the data side of punting. But I used to just watch them walk, and that's all I did.
Yeah,
I love going on track and watching them walk.
That's what I try and. My favourite thing to do is if I sort of have a scope or a way that I see a race playing out, and then the yard confirms that. That's when I really like to have a bet.
Any little pearls you're happy to give away for what you look for in the mounting yard?
For say a derby race or something, one of these more staying type races, I take the old Bart Cummings approach where I like to see the 3-year-olds that have nice low knees and long walk, and the flat back across the top, which sometimes is hard to see when they're all kitted up. But low knees, long walk, and I like to see them up on the toes in the yard. Some people like to see head down, nice and calm. I prefer to see, especially the colts and stuff, I like to see them up on the toes and alert.
Yeah, I'm a big low head man.
Yeah, you like a low head.
Like a big, long, fluent walk. My theory is if a horse can get his head or her head down nice and low and stretch out, they're feeling good in their neck. So it's kind of like, if you and I go play golf and we walk 18 holes and then we get up the next day, you're going to get up and bounce around and you're going to be able to walk however you want. I'm going to be walking like real stiff because I'm not fit and not athletic. Yeah. That's how I do everything back to translating to a human.
I do it a little bit differently in like if when Buddy Franklin walks out when Buddy's in form and he's up on the toes and he's looking around and it's like, I'm here to win, sort of like a So You Think type mentality. Like So You Think, when he was in the yard, he was just so imposing. You used to look at him, and I remember from when I was a kid, and you would look at So You Think and he'd be up and he'd be like, I'm the best horse in this yard, someone beat me. So there's different ways you can look at it, but that's what I talk about. If you're going to do the yard, you've got to try and have a profile on these horses, because you've got to know, Alligator Blood, if he's trotting around carrying on, he's no good. But if he's calm and if he's stretching and his head's nice and low, that's when he performs well. So you've got to have a bit of a profile if you're doing the yard, I reckon.
And on top of that, a profile for a trainer. So like a Prushka Stapati is going to go around in the Guineas Prelude. He's a trainer that the horse will parade furry and look not perfect, but it'll improve through a preparation. Bussett and Young, they'll be way more wound up at the start of preparation. Understanding trainers is key to mounting yard. Anyway, We're talking mounting yard. Where's the next race going to, my man?
We could talk for too long about that.
The next race we are going to do is Race 7. It is the Caulfield Guineas Prelude. This is an interesting race. I don't know if I would need to bet into it, but we'll talk about it anyway. The speed map, I've got some people call me that comes off a nice win at Geelong, but needs to step right up here going forward with Prince Zero, who won at Sandown. Rock Empire holds a spot from 1. I think Southport Tycoon and V8 will be thereabouts behind the speed. Snow Patrol was inconvenienced at Sandown. Breaks shins on. He loves to show intent, but it's a very wide draw. And then Stapati from 8. Run short of grand final day. How much intent do we see from it from 8? I don't know. And the She-Light and Little Bros will be the two good 2-year-olds now, 3-year-olds out the back with Centrefire.
Yeah, so the way I see this race, I don't know, like you said, prep before grand final for Stapati. Are they really interested in a picket fence at the moment, or are they just trying to get it right for that last race? Depends how it plays out. My play for the race is going to be really small. I'm not going to have a big go into this race. Purely, I want to stay interested and I want to watch it for the Guineas. I'm going to have a small bet each way on Centrefire. I think the map's going to suit a little bit better than it has been at Moonee Valley. Caulfield's going to be a little nicer. And then I'm going to have a small bet just on V8 for the win. I think Stapati's had it really easy, had cruisy runs and easy wins, and I don't think it's going to get that this time around.
I'm with you. I actually hate betting into these races where you know these horses. A lot of these horses, apart from, say, Stapati, have they weren't sure, and then they showed something last run of the run prior, and they said, "Oh, hang on, we've got a Caulfield Guineas horse here." But they're going for the Caulfield Guineas. They don't care about this race. So this race to me is a dodgy race to bet into. I do think there'll be intent and purpose with Little Bros, just to sort of say, hey, I am a 3-year-old. I wasn't just a 2-year-old. And I loved She-Light's jump out. It's had a little tick over jump out between runs at Cranbourne. Burn. How do we say that? You're a proper Victorian. I'm a 6-year-in Victorian. Is it Cranbourne or Cranbourne?
Cranbourne.
Cranbourne. Yep, good. Thank you. I think Snow Patrol, if you want to have a bet, the place mainly. So like a 1x4 play. It had excuses last start. It's a huge price here in this race, but it's wide open. I love V8 as an animal. I just hate barrier 2 in a race where I don't anticipate intent from the rider. The last race we're going to look at Caulfield, my man, is the Underwood Stakes. It's race 9. It's a juicy race. I'll attempt to give a speed map, Phar, but this is a low confidence map, punters, if you're playing at home. I just think Alligator Blood, Tuvalu, Lindemann, their speed, maybe Attrition, Mwanga, and Smoke and Romans from wide draw show some intent. Bank Mer will just smoke the pipe somewhere midfield, just forward, Coffin. Solcombe will use the gate, I think, a little bit. Duke Duessa, Lunar Flare, Without a Fight, Alaskan God, they'll be the ones out the back. It's a tricky map in a wide open race. How are we playing this?
Look,
it all comes down to one horse, doesn't it? What are you doing with the champion? What are you doing with the old bull?
So the Alligator Blood, my issue with him, right? So everyone knows my favourite horse is Zaki, and I'm always looking for an excuse to get behind Zaki. You watch Zaki's last couple of runs, particularly the one on the weekend, when they've said to him, get off the bit and go, he's been able to put a couple of lengths on it, right? And he got run down by Think It Over, and that's right. I think he's going to get better further out. So I'm happy to keep going with Zaki there until he gets to his 2,000 metres and then go, once he's buried him a little bit, if he can skip ahead and put a length or 2 lengths onto him, he'll be able to hold on. Alligator Blood is such a similar horse, and the last couple of runs, when they say go, he just hasn't been able to skip away far enough to be impressive. So I know that they're saying this is the race that he's, going to suit a little bit more, but I just can't back him, having not seen him skip away from these fields and hold him off. So with that, I'm going to back for a reason that is a little different. I'm going to back for a rider change on Tuvalu. Jamie Carr, soft hands, good balance, and I think Tuvalu's a great bet here. The other thing, I'll go one more. Without a Fight could be anything. I just don't know enough about it. Like you're getting $5 for it. I just don't know. I've got to do more research. I can't tip anyone into Without a Fight right now, but I'm going to have a little go at Tuvalu, and that's purely for the fact that I think Jamie Carr is such a positive jockey change.
I think that the plastics, so that's the corporate bookmakers, have made this race bettable.
Yeah.
If they Alligator Blood could have gone up $6 or $7, and then I'd be confused as to how to play this. I think the quick backup will suit. I think Caulfield will suit. I think the soft, they've gone really slow. First two starts his prep. I think it's a great foundation for a horse at his level. He's a 7-year-old gelding. Like, the question always has to be asked, like you just spoke about with Zaki, you're a believer, but you need to ask the question: are these horses going to go to that level they've been at, or go past it, or are they going to taper off from that level as they get older? He's priced like he's going to go past the level he's been at, and therefore I'm going to dodge him. I love Tuvalu as well. I love the jockey switch. I love the map. It suits Jamie Carr. It's an awkward map, so you get a little bit of a better price, but she'll just roll over and like balance away to a nice position in run. I think I'm going to back Tuvalu, but I'm also going to back Attrition. I think he's the next progressive good horse in Australian racing, like 1,600 metres and above. He's got an astute, young, keen trainer in Mitch Friedman. Ben Mellum sticks. The barrier is a real trick. I'm going to bet, and I'll be flat if they show no intent straight away and we're out the back last. I'd much rather he was 3 or 4 wide, no cover the entire way than out the back.
Yeah.
I just think he's the horse with a bit of upside in a race where we sort of know what we're getting. And the same story for me, I agree without a fight, but the same, like, they've just priced it like he's there to go. And
yeah,
he's a horse who's going to be aimed at Caulfield Cups and maybe a Melbourne Cup. He's just going to flop out the back, get through his gears, and probably savage the line.
Yeah.
I think the prices they've given us for Without a Fight and Alligator Blood allow me to have a nice bet at Tuvalu and Attrition. I think there'll be good money for Attrition and there'll be good money for Tuvalu as well. So if you like them as well, I'd have a bet sooner rather than later.
Yeah. It's funny. You wouldn't find many cards where me and you are in agreement down on like a third line of betting in a race. That's pretty rare. Yeah. So I like that.
Yeah. The only chink for either of them is the map. With Tuvalu, you're more confident of intent. That's how that horse is ridden 9 times out of 10. And is Tuvalu a winner this track and trip? Or not this track and trip, but this track? Yeah, 3 starts this track, 1 win, 1 third. I reckon that win was in a Group 1. Yeah, it won the Toorak this time last year just about. So we know he handles his track. That was on a soft 5. There's a little bit of mist and rain around this morning. It's probably going to be a good 4 at Caulfield on Saturday, my prediction. We know he handles it. And then the Attrition, you just pray for Benny Mellum. He's a very, very good rider. He was in good form last. He looked after you with Snow Patrol.
Yep.
Shout out to Benny. We're going to head quickly now to Rosehill. We're going to start in race 4. The rail's out 2 metres the entire. Paps and I had a bit of a Zoom sesh last night. We're thinking on speed slightly, midfield completely sweet, and rails in run advantaged. He's found one for us in race 4, which is number 7, Stanislas. Do you want to have a crack at pronouncing that, if you can find it?
Stanislaus.
Yeah. $34 chance to a bit of an upset coming from a nice win at Newcastle. Paps thinks it's big overs there for his man, Zachy Lloyd. You know how much he loves Zach Lloyd.
Yeah. He's got the Godolphin. You know, it's in a pretty strong race, and I rate that Osmosis. A couple of boys I follow along a little bit found that at the trials last year, and it's done well since then. So.
Righto. The next race we're going to talk about at Rosehill is race number... what is it? It's race 8, isn't it? It's the Golden Rose. This is an elite race. It's to be top 5 for me races every year. I love this race. You'll find out who's going to be the next big stallion. And Coolmore and Newgate have... Newgate's got 3 runners. Coolmore's got 1, so they're hoping they don't have to buy the stallion. They already own it. This is a fascinating race. Speed map here. Moravia liberated forward. Butch Cassidy, King Colorado, some speed. Cylinder, End Cap, and Charmstone can kick up from the inside draw. I think Militarised, Blinkers On shows some intent. Don Corleone, Shinzo, Nadal, midfield or worse. And General Salute, snap back last. Talk to me.
Well, it's very presumptuous saying this is the stallion maker when we've got Charmstone in there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, but this is a a glorious race more often than not.
Oh, it's a fantastic race. So good. I've got personally, I've got Shinzo on top. I'm going to back Shinzo. King Colorado really sort of reached out to me. I think Cylinder's a little bit vulnerable. I just can't get around it under that $5 price. In such a quality field, to be taken sort of $4 or $4.50, I can't get around Cylinder. But if you are a Cylinder backer and a lover, I can see why you would go there, and that price might look good to you. But just personally, in a race with such quality going around, I just can't get around it at that price. So I do like Shinzo at $6. And then I'm going to have a very small play on the Libertad, number 6, the Annabelle Neasham horse. I think if you can forgive its last start, if it ran up to its start before that, then it's very much in this race. And I think it's $16 or $17 you're getting for it at the moment. You can have a little go at it.
Beautiful work. I think Shinzo deserves. I think Shinzo would be favourite off what it did in the slipper. Its trials are just like as good as they get. I think barrier 10's a real setback for the horse, and it may well overcome it. But I think I want to be inside runners at Rosehill on Saturday. I think King Colorado is a big hole in the market. I think he's very unlikely to win this race. Cylinder, bomb-proof, draws well, has to be respected, but tight enough. The two horses that we settled on, Thomas and I, last night on the Zoom, Charm Stone, the Victorian, Wales and Run, D Lane, Coffin. I think he'll kick up and hold a really good spot. And Militarised for Uncle Chris, barrier 2, blinkers on. I think it was the fastest last 100 in the run to the Rose, so he's going well. He's going to get a soft run. They're both going to need luck and at a vital stage, but if one of them gets it, I think they'll savage the line and they'll be very hard to beat. I'd tip around Shinzo, Militarised and Charmstone, and I'm just going to have a little bet, Charmstone and Militarised. Anything else you want to touch on at Rosehill, my man?
Nah, nothing for me at Rosehill. I only did the main races there. Considering I'm going to be at Caulfield this weekend, I wanted to put my effort in there.
Beautiful work. Let's just finish off the show with two more little segments. We'll talk a bit of AFL with a bit more aggression to who might win this week because Thomas isn't here, and then we'll answer some viewer questions.
Down straight to Papley, and the Swans pounce again. That is just so exciting.
He's happy.
He enjoyed it. There's Pappenhausen now. The Pap.
We've got the game tomorrow night at the G. You're flying back tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if you somehow jagged yourself a ticket.
I've jagged myself a couple, actually.
Yeah, there we go. Too good.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Pies versus the Giants, the Orange Tsunami. They're doing a good job, the Giants, on their social media, and they're doing a better job with their football. They have timed their run to perfection.
You and I must be sharing brainwaves this morning, because I got up this morning and I watched the GWS social media, and I thought whoever they've got doing their social media is the right person for the job. So we're on the same wavelength. Buddy, did you see the Mr. Bean thing they put up this morning?
Yeah, and they're pivoting away from they actually put effort into targeting Crows fans last week, mate, and now they're talking about getting your high vis out.
Mate, it's so good. We need a little bit more of that in the footy landscape. We need a little bit more of it.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of sort of people like yourself who can get a ticket, but you either love or you hate the Pies. Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing. In Melbourne, my whole life, everyone hates Collingwood, right? You're either a Pies fan or you hate Collingwood. And something about the playing group this year has turned that on its head a little bit. Like most people, and I'm talking about my mates, are die-hard Aussie rules boys. They played their whole life. Their dad played, their grandpa played, all this sort of stuff. And it's Collingwood's their second team. Like, just because of the way they play the game and the playing group they've got there. So I'll be at the game, hopefully, fingers crossed. I think got a couple of tickets coming through, or at least one. I'm going to go Collingwood at the line. I think Collingwood at the line. What's the line sitting at right now? If I have a quick look, last time I checked,
I wasn't ready.
Collingwood are $1.53 for the win. Oops.
10.5. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I'll take that back. I thought it was closer to 7. 10.5. No, I'm not going to take Collingwood at the line there.
I think it sets up to be an absolute nail biter. If Collingwood can maintain their sort of like I'm actually not part of that sort of bandwagon. My partner, misses her whole family mad Collingwood, so I should do the right thing. Now the Swans are out and jump on board, but I just can't. I still hate them.
Yeah.
But if they get away from that carefree, like aggressive, fun, fearless football because of the stakes that are on the line, it could be the Collywobbles, you know. I think the Giants have absolutely nothing to lose.
The Collywobbles are done. They you know what the Collywobbles were? The Collywobbles boys, where they got in the sheds together and they went, right, boys, we've got top spot, no injuries, nothing stupid. We've already lost Nicky for a few weeks. Everyone just calm down and let's win a granny. You don't win a granny in August. Let's just relax a little bit. And that's what's happened.
That line. I love that line. I heard from when I was a young bloke, Nick Davis came to a training session and he said, you don't win premierships in February.
Nah, not at all.
So you're tipping the Pies, but not taking the line?
The Pies. I was going to take the line if it was 7 points, but at 10 points, 10.5, I'm not going to go near that line. Not in a prelim final at the G.
Yeah, an enormous game. Can't wait to watch. The next game is a little bit more lopsided. The Lions host the Carlton Blues, who are, they're up and about. If you follow Carlton, they have been starved and now they are being properly fed. They have got out of jail, I think, 2 weeks in a row. They were very lucky to beat us in the first week of the finals. Brisbane, big favourites here.
Yep, big favourites. I'm going to tip against them. I'm going Carlton because it is good for our city. No disrespect to all the Brisbane boys. I know a lot of them are Victorian and that sort of thing as well. But it is good for our city. Next weekend, can you imagine next weekend, Carlton Collingwood granny, Moya Stakes on the Friday night, and then rolling
the Grouse Caulfield meeting on the Sunday.
And then rolling into Carlton Collingwood on the Saturday. That would just be so good for the city. Carlton.
The city's nearby though. This is the world's most livable. Like this week, you've got Flemington on Sunday.
Yep.
Then next weekend, you've got Moonee Valley Friday night and Caulfield on Sunday, and an AFL granny in the middle.
Yeah, unreal. So
there'll be an absolute riot if it's Carlton play Collingwood in the granny. Whatever happens, there'll be like police required.
100%. It'll be huge. You can even if you don't like footy, you can just park yourself somewhere around Melbourne on Saturday and you'll have a good day.
Yeah.
But even if Brisbane get in, I hope I don't have to come back on next week and say it's a Brisbane GWS grand final because that would just ruin me. I tell you what, I would be if it was a Brisbane GWS grand final, I'd be launching at the Moya Stakes on Friday, and I wouldn't even be worried about the granny. Be like, I can sit in bed all day Saturday because I'm just not interested.
I think Brisbane will wipe Carlton like a dirty ass. I think that Carlton have been completely blessed in run the last 2 weeks. Like unexpected scores, they should have got beat both times. Maybe they come good and they have the performance that they have. They do have a great performance in them. Brisbane are under pressure, but
I think there's something in there when the numbers don't add up and teams just keep winning. Like
true.
when the Bulldogs did it in 2016, when it was just like they shouldn't win, they definitely shouldn't win this game, and they just keep doing it. There's something in that, and by all metrics, Carlton just have no chance in this game. At the Gabba, last time they played at Marvel, they lost by 25 points. How are they going to make up that deficit? And I don't know. I just reckon they can do it.
That is a good point. It's a great weekend of footy. We'll have our NRL players out across the socials. Tom and I'll figure that out tonight. That's about all for the show. We'll finish.
You boys went 0-2 on the NRL last week. I heard a bit of chat that the Lizard might get called back in.
The Lizard's man's got to speak to my man. And we're probably looking to sign a deal for the Liz for 2024. We need to sort of tick a lot of boxes. We're in front for the year. The Lizard did kick us off to a 3-0 start. You and the Lizard have probably had the greatest starts of all time for the Early Crow.
Love that.
And Paps come good last week, so we're getting there.
Do you want to hear about my first? We can clip this in if you want, but my first thing I did with Dabble.
Yeah.
So Heath Shaw is in charge of talent at Dabble, and he sent me my offer and my deal to sort of be part of the team, and I was like, yep, cool, I'm interested. And once we agreed on everything, I signed the deal, and when I signed the deal, I sent it back to him, and I said, "Are you guys doing Friday knockoffs this week?" And he said, "Yep." I said, "Buzz me in whenever you have a chance. I'll zoom in. I'm going to give a tip for the punters, and we'll see how we go." And he goes, "Yes, sweet." So I buzz in, and it's Dane Swan, Heath Shaw, and Joshy Jeans. And Heath Shaw and Dane Swan and that don't even know I'm buzzing in, and I just pop up on the screen, and they go, "Oh, hey mate, what's going on?" So, "G'day boys, just dropping in, South Australian Derby, back Dunkeld 16-1. It'll run over the top of them. Anyway, all the best. Good to be on the team." And I've hung up, and they've all stood there, and Heater had a go at it. Swanee had a go on it. A few of the punters who were watching the stream had a go at it. And then the next day, the Derby, Billy Egan, Paddy Payne, bang,
Dunkeld. Billy.
Yeah, runs over the top of them at 16-1. We backed it at, and the tote ended up getting it into 7. So that was me start at Dabble, which was quite a good start.
Oh, too good. What are your plans for your horse racing, like media career, owner, bloodstock? We sort of talked about, I think, more off air last time, but do you want to go over that a little bit?
Yeah. Look, I'm more than anything at the moment, I'm just interested about learning more. I don't pretend to know everything about the game, and there's a lot of parts that I don't understand that I really want to brush up my knowledge on. So even just being around the horses a little bit more, I'll probably go do some work on some farms, just volunteer stuff. I'm planning on having such a successful career that I don't need to do anything for the money. But even if I can just go out and learn more about the horses and what makes them tick and what makes a good horse and what doesn't, and then, make my way into bloodstock. And I'd love to do a little bit of media as well. But right now the focus is on fighting, and I'm just doing this and brushing up where I can as a bit of an outlet to take my mind off the fighting.
I think that's the best thing about horse racing as an industry is it suits people like you, because if you stop challenging yourself to find the next edge, you'll die.
Yeah.
You need to have that mentality of a fighter, and you need to just work out. I try and outwork everyone else all the time. I'm not settling for what I've got. I'm trying to find the next thing. I think it's key, and it suits some people and it doesn't suit others, but it's definitely what horse racing is. Even the bloodstock game evolves all the time. They're now focusing heavily on data and biomechanics and things like that. It's an evolving industry. We'll finish with a bit of a harsh question on a pony, but what is the most overrated, underachieving racehorse at the moment?
Overrated and underachieving. What's his name? Kadinsky Abstract.
There's not many. Like Brightsides just keeps on delivering.
Yeah,
it's probably if Alligator Blood gets beat on Saturday, he's probably got that crown.
I don't know. I think with Alligator Blood, again, it depends how deep in the game you are. Given the injury he had and the surgery and all that stuff and how he came back, he overperformed expectations, not underperformed.
Yeah.
So I don't know even if he doesn't fire again, I can't hate on him. Like you said, it's hard to find one. There's so many good horses going around, and they're all having their chances on their day. But that I just say that Kadinsky Abstract, because what did they pay for it? Like $1.5 million or something?
Yeah, mate. Some of the money they pay, we're off topic again, but who cares? One of the most fascinating things through the data and research, the best horses at yearling sales are like between 200 and 400,000.
Yeah. I saw someone talking about it the other day. Like
they pay like 2.4, 2.45. Done. It's a bad bet, but they just keep having them. But when you've got unlimited PharJack, you may as well just keep on betting. I hope you enjoyed the show, Phar. It's been an absolute pleasure talking ponies with you again, man.
It was good. I really enjoyed it.
There's a bit of pressure on us because we've sort of aligned. We haven't given many tips because they're the same tip.
Yeah, I know. And gamble responsibly, punters, but especially people see that we've agreed on something that's outside the top line of betting. Like if we agree on a $2 favourite, everyone goes, yeah, of course. But when we're agreeing on a few that are outside the top line of betting, it's could be dangerous there. So make sure you gamble responsibly there, punters.
And make sure you also have one more bet at Caulfield if you do want to have a bet. That's race 5, number 15, Perfect. Perfect. It's P-O-R-F-E-C-T. I forgot to mention it before. Coming out of a Geelong win, lovely trials. It was $10 last night. I really, really like that horse. But you don't need a bet to enjoy racing. Bet within your means. Gamble responsibly. I hope you have a phenomenal weekend if you're whatever you're doing.
Thanks for having me, boys. Appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
I hope Paps is enjoying Italy or the Amalfi Coast, wherever he is.
He's enjoying saying that one word, whatever it is. Like, I don't even know what it is, but he keeps saying "contuto" every time and getting it wrong.
Thank you for listening to The Early Crow. Follow the socials immediately. You already should, but if you're not, do it again. Make sure you have, because we will be giving out our staking plans for Saturday's racing across our socials. Yeah, bye for now.